together, or call to order this meeting of the Special Utility Authority for November 5th at 6 p.m. The meeting was posted at 5:10 p.m. on November 4th. Item number 2 is invocation by the pastor of Cardin Baptist Church, Mr. David Jackson, and his daughter. You'll come up to the podium, please, with Mike. Bring her with you. Let's get her on TV. Okay, go ahead, David.
All right. Let's have a word of prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you that you've put us here, Father, in this community. We pray that you bless this community. Father, we pray that you bless our leaders. Help us to have respect for their position, respect for their authority, Father. Help them to make wise and godly decisions for the people, Lord. What is best for the people, what is best for this community. Just give them wisdom to do that. Allow them to work together in cooperation and harmony with one another, Father. And may you be glorified in all things. In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, David. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go to item 4, I just want to acknowledge a couple of changes on the council. This is our first public televised meeting since I became mayor, filling out the rest of Mayor Ketcher's term, which will be for the next 5 months. And Christy McLean has agreed to serve in Ward 1, filling out the last 5 months of my term of office. She has attended a couple of meetings already, but they weren't the regularly scheduled meetings. Christy and her husband Todd have lived in Miami for 30 years. Her father-in-law used to be the utility superintendent for the city of Miami 10 or 15 years ago, and so they have a long history in this community, have raised their kids here, and we are very excited about Christy serving on the city council. So welcome, Christy, and thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4, public input and unscheduled personal appearances. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes on agenda items only. Do we have anybody in the audience that wants to address the council on any agenda items? There being none, item number 5, the consent agenda. We're going to, starting tonight, change up the way we do the consent agenda a little bit. The consent agenda are typically items that are recurring items month after month, or things where we may need the mayor's signature on a grant or some paperwork that's just common paperwork in the course of business. The mayor does not have the authority to sign anything without the vote of the council, and so those votes are required. But things like that we typically put on the consent agenda. We're going to try to improve the flow of this process, wherein in the future we'll call for the consent agenda vote, and we'll call for a vote on the items that the staff recommends. If there's any member of the council that wants to pull one of those items out to be discussed separately, then we'll pull that item out, have a vote on the remaining items, and then we'll take that item in the order that it appears on the agenda. And so we're going to start that new process tonight. And so my first question would be, of items 6 through 14, which staff are recommending for the consent agenda, are there any of those items, ladies and gentlemen, that you would like to pull out and discuss separately?
No.
Nothing, Mayor. Okay, there being none, then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with items 6 through 14.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 6 through 14.
And a second, please.
Second.
Please poll the authority.
Johnson?
Aye.
Weston?
Aye.
McLean? Aye. Schultz?
Aye. So that takes us right to item number 15, which is direct city attorney to prepare agreement for the transfer of ownership of the Peoria Tribe sanitary sewer pump station and force main, and authorize city manager to accept all necessary permits for said project. I know city attorney is out ill this afternoon. Mr. Bishop, do you have something you want to add or talk about on this item?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity. Staff is requesting direction for the preparation of the agreement to transfer ownership of the Peoria Tribe sanitary sewer line. To kind of put it into perspective, we've had this item on your agenda a number of times, and we need to have a formal process put in place with the Peoria tribe to effect the transfer of ownership. The project was bid by the Peoria tribe, and Chuck, refresh my memory, the total bid price was
Just under $500,000.
just under $500,000. During that process, the city requested the tribe consider oversizing the line, and the evaluation of the engineers, the added cost for that oversizing was $170,000. So the staff needs direction on making a decision as to whether or not we want to compensate the tribe for that $170,000 in one of two manners. One would be to provide the Peoria tribe with utility credit to their account. Keep in mind they also operate Buffalo Run, so it wouldn't take a long time for that credit to get used. Or the other option is that we just outright purchase the line from them for $170,000, which would be a cash transaction. My conversations with Chief Froman, I think he would prefer the cash. It's relatively of no difference to the city from a time value of money standpoint. It would be very negligible whether we allow it to be consumed over a period of time as in the form of a utility credit or whether we buy it. Now, there's no question of fair market value, because as you can see, the line was just publicly bid, and the low bid on that process was $500,000. So there's no way we could duplicate the infrastructure we're going to be receiving for $170,000. So staff is fairly comfortable in recommending that we enter into an agreement to actually acquire the line from the tribe. So to that end, staff needs direction from the council. And at that point, if you would then direct the city attorney to prepare the document to be considered by the tribe and the Miami Special Utility Authority.
Okay, and so Jeff, just to be clear, in either instance, whether it's a cash transaction or through the form of utility credit, we will own the line.
We will own the whole thing.
City becomes the owner
Yeah.
of the whole thing.
Right, we get instant $300,000 worth of equity in the line, and the reason why we're doing that is because they needed to build a line by order of the Department of Environmental Quality. And believe it or not, the biggest cost elements in installing a sewer line is in digging the trench, and in this case, they even encountered some rock, so that kind of added to the cost of the line. So just making the line larger so that it could accommodate other future customers for the city was disproportionately less than the initial investment of having to put in the line. And that's why they said they came to the conclusion that the city's portion would be $170,000. So we would acquire it, we would own it, they would be customers, they would pay a rate just like any other customer.
And based on the usage at the facility that this line is extending to and the Buffalo Run Casino, based on their utility usage, we would expect that credit to be used up in somewhere approximating a 12 to 15 month period. Is that?
Amber is here. Amber, do you know what, how many months you think it would take based on those two bills?
I'm trying to remember what I had on that paper. I would say within a 6-month time frame.
That quickly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, from a time value money standpoint,
Right.
there's negligible difference to the city as to whether, the trust, whether we pay a lump sum or provide them.
Probably
a
even at that rate, depending, it would be in the same fiscal year even. It
yes,
sounds like.
yeah, but fiscal year is not a relevant concern for a trust.
That's you're right. Okay.
But
Yeah.
it certainly is, current in that regard. But again, everyone's use of money is different, and I would assume that the tribe would prefer to have the lump sum payment as opposed to, and the staff's not opposed to that at all.
Well, I think we're getting the, I hate to say the best end of the deal, but certainly getting a very good deal, given that we're trading $170,000 for $500,000 value.
And another good reason why we should take in consideration what the tribe's desire would be for the payment
Right.
on it, and I think they would prefer to have the money.
Does anyone have an objection to us paying outright the $170,000 as opposed to utility credit?
I don't.
Do not.
No.
Do you need to vote on that, or?
Yeah, if you would just move to direct the city attorney to prepare the agreement for the transfer of ownership with the Peoria Tribe Sanitary Sewer Pump Station and Force Main, and authorize the city manager to accept all necessary pumps for said project. We'll take your direction and include that lump sum payment in that agreement.
Mayor, I'm make a motion to move to direct the city attorney to prepare agreement for the transfer of ownership with the Peoria Tribe Sanitary Sewer Pump Station and Force Main, and authorize city manager to accept all necessary permits for said project.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Christie. Please poll.
Johnson,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye. Okay, item number 16, adopt 2014 regular MSUA meeting schedule. Of course, based on adopting that schedule, that would also affect our regular council meeting schedules, because right now the council meetings are set to basically start as soon as the MSUA meeting ends. Historically, the meetings have started at 6 o'clock. There's been some discussion about moving that time up a little bit, experimenting with different times. Jeff, do you have any comments particularly that you want to share, or do you want just the council to?
No, sir, we have no staff recommendation. We work for you, so
Okay.
if you want us here at midnight, we'll be here at midnight.
Okay. Well, I know that for a lot of staff members and people that work also that try to come to these meetings, they because they start at 6, a lot of times they get off work, they go home, and then they come back, or they don't come back. And we prefer that they come back. We prefer that they be here. Talking about members of the public, members of staff don't have any choice. They have to stay around. So we've talked about a couple of different things. I'm certainly comfortable with taking kind of a baby step, which is, to 5:30. I still think that provides adequate time for people that work up until 5 that do want to attend the meeting to get off and be able to attend the meeting. There has been conversation about 5:15 and 5 o'clock and other times. I think this is my opinion, if we want to entertain something 5 o'clock or earlier, that I would prefer that we have an agenda item, have the paper write a brief story, making the public aware that we're considering going to that much earlier of a time frame, just to give the public an opportunity to respond. Now, I hope we have a lot of viewers tonight. I'll say that we don't typically have very many members of the public here. We do have several in the audience tonight, but if we have 3 or 4, that's usually a lot, unless there's a controversial issue. And those are the times that we need to be available, and that we always have the option of scheduling something like that later in the meeting too, if we were having an earlier start time. So last year we moved our meetings to Tuesday from Monday, or sometime during this year we moved them to Tuesday from Monday to accommodate various schedules. And so now the question is, do we want to change the time? And I'm pretty flexible, as I said, other than if we were going to move it to 5 or earlier, I'd like to at least give the public an opportunity to comment. But I'm okay with something like 5:30.
I'm okay with 5:30, Chairman.
Okay.
I'm okay with 5:30. I think, like you said earlier, I think we may tinker with 5:15 or 5 o'clock at some point. But starting out, I'd like to 5:30 would be fine with me.
I'm okay with 5:30. I probably feel like going earlier than that's not conducive to the public and those that really want to be here, that are required to be at work until 5.
Okay. So do we have the date schedule, and we just need to set the time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The date schedules are the Tuesdays that we're just going to follow consistently.
Those in your packet.
Okay. So do we have a motion to adopt the schedule with the exception of changing the time to 5:30? Is it set on there? I glanced at it, but I didn't remember.
What time do you
it
have
said.
in the one that's in the
6.
packet? 6, okay.
It says 6 now, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. So it would be adopting that schedule with the exception of amending the start times to 5:30.
I make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion
I'll second. the
and a
motion.
second. Please poll.
McLean,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye. Thank you. So our new official start time is 5:30, starting in January.
I do have one quick question. Was 7 o'clock on November 4th? Not that it makes any difference now,
Is
but
that next year?
yeah.
Is that election day? We normally, if it's a Tuesday and it's on election day, we usually schedule that meeting to be at 7 so that we allow people the opportunity to vote. Polls close at 7, I believe.
First Tuesday would be election day.
Okay. Item number 17, request for water and sewer bill adjustment at 206 B Street Southeast. Amanda Roberts and Amber Pruitt. Ms. Roberts, are you here? Okay, Amber, can you tell us what's going on?
Ms. Roberts was not able to come tonight, so I guess I'm representing her. But earlier in the year, in August, before I had done my billing, I noticed there was a high reading at her address, so we had sent a technician out to reread the meter and make sure that there was no leak at that time. He went back out, the reading was correct, and there did not show any leak, so we did send out a letter that same day to notify her of a possible issue with the plumbing or a toilet or something to take a look at, and she would have a higher bill. The second bill was produced after that with another high reading as well, and then we were finally contacted by the property manager who said that they had a plumber come out to check the service line. There was no issue on the service line, no leak repaired, and she'd requested that we do an adjustment because she had a plumber come out and check the line. For our policy, we are unable to do any adjustments unless a leak is repaired. So I was unable to do any adjustments on her account. Now, as for the excessive charges on the account due to the water and sewer, it was $770.41. Her average bill is about $21.07.
So I understand this a little better. Was there a leak and it was,
Well, at the time that we sent our technician out the very first time, it did show a leak. So we sent her a letter. Now, how he checks is he does look at the meter, and if the meter is turning and we can tell that there's water going through, we suspect a leak.
it was downstream of the meter?
Yes.
Okay.
So we did send her a letter to notify her that there is an excessive water usage. You may check your toilet flapper, all your lines, faucets, everything like that. Because all that we can tell is that there is an excessive water usage. So the following month, the bill was high again, and then that is when the property manager provided us with a statement from a plumber saying that it was inspected and there was no leak at the time he went out to inspect it. So I don't know what the issue was, where that water went. All that I can say is at the time when we sent our technician out the first month, the meter was spinning, the water was going through that meter.
And do we have another reading since then, since the plumber went out, that is
Yes.
back to normal?
Yes, we had actually sent our technician out a second time after that to read it again. It did not show a leak at that time, meaning that the water meter was standing still, and the reading was correct. Plus, she's also had another bill printed since then as well, and on that bill, there was only 1,000 gallons water used. So as of right now, it shows that there's no excessive water use.
But there was no repairs.
No repairs, no.
I believe our
I'm a little
policy
confused.
states there needs to be a repair and the repair bill needs to be submitted before we
Yes.
consider making an adjustment on the water bill.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Okay.
just to be clear, does our policy state that that's required for you to make an adjustment, or does that also include for the council to make an adjustment?
It's actually for me to make an adjustment. It says in our policy, any request for an adjustment other than as provided in this provision may be made only upon written application and hearing by the utility board.
Or in this case, the council? Okay, so, you know, the point I was making was I think that we still have the discretion without a repair bill, but I'm still confused about how this
I am
has
too.
come about without if there was nothing wrong, unless
Yes.
you just had a flapper going and
Which
Yeah.
is
and
highly
fixed it.
possible.
Yeah, we just
I
went
mean,
down the sewer, it wasn't leaking in the yard, so.
Right.
And then she did receive a letter, but nothing, as far as we know, was done. Next month, an additional high bill,
Exactly.
and then the following month, the problem was corrected somehow.
Yes, sir.
So my inclination is maybe to consider something on the 1 month.
Yeah.
You know, but after we gave notice and no action was taken, I'm not not quite as understanding, I guess, about that time
I
around.
agree with you.
So can you give us the amounts for each month again, please, Amber?
Unfortunately, I just have the total for both months. The total for both months, and they were about the same usage. So I mean, almost in half for each. But the total was $770.
Okay, so that is for both. So,
That is
so
for both.
maybe $350
per
for
each month. Yeah.
It'd be
And-
$385.
And the normal bill for that time period for 2 months, I guess, or normal bill for a month.
The normal bill for a month, an average bill for her usage is $21.
So you have about $360 difference. Is that what you come up with? And what did we, the two that we've adjudicated before, for some reason 30% comes to mind. I don't remember
It
why.
was about,
Just-
yeah, it's pretty close to it. Do you remember, Amber?
On the other two cases, I was able to do my adjustment because there was a leak that had been repaired and they had provided plumber's receipts
Right.
and so on and so forth. So I was able to do my half of the excess of usage, and then I believe at that point it was about half on each of those. So the board adjusted about 25%
So about 75% total.
total,
So you're looking,
including that they again were able to provide that a leak had been repaired. They proved to us what the issue was.
Mayor, you're looking at a 182 if Amber was able to adjust.
And then half of that again would be
Yeah.
90, so about
Yeah.
$270.
Yeah.
Amber, would you please walk through the sequence once more about
Sure.
the letter, et cetera?
Before I actually do my billing, because again, our customers will use service for a month. We send a technician out to read our meter readers out to read the meters, so we can then do the billing for that month's usage. Before I actually print the billing, I will go through and see if there's any erroneous, anything that's out of line. In Mrs. Roberts' account, her bill was rather high for the water, so we went ahead and sent a technician out for the second time within that week's time frame to read the meter again. It showed that that was a correct reading first of all, and that it appeared that there would be a leak, so the meter was spinning rather quickly. And at that point in time, once I was notified of that, I then sent a letter out to her stating that there was a possible leak on the account, there was a higher water usage, and that her next bill would be higher than normal, and to check for any possible leak in the home.
And then there was a subsequent high reading.
Yes. And then after, the next month was high as well.
During this time, did you talk to her at all? I mean, were there conversations with her?
She had actually contacted the office. I didn't speak with her. One of my CSRs did. And we reiterated to her that we did check the meter. We've sent a technician out a second time, and it did show that there was a leak. She had read her meter as well and given us the reading, and again, it was higher still than what we had read it at the second time. So she was aware that something was going on. Yes.
And she acknowledged that.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts, Doug?
Well, I haven't seen the form letter, but she was informed, and then apparently, whether it was the cost of repairs or just the timeliness of getting it repaired, it incurred additional costs. I could see maybe possibly make an adjustment on the first month, but I mean, she was given fair warning on.
And also, I mean, it is a rental as well, so it's not her personal property. So I mean, she should have taken the initiative to notify the property
It'd been
manager.
better if she was here and kind of explain, what happened. Did she run into a problem with the landlord, or?
I don't know. on
Did you
that.
say that you have heard from the landlord also, though?
Yes. Well, yes, the property manager.
And that was just to validate that after the second high reading, that
Yes,
it
the
was
property
expected.
the property manager contacted me after the second reading. She had turned in that plumber's receipt stating that there was no leak on the service line, and wanted to know what adjustments would be able to be made. And I explained to her that because there was no leak repaired, per policy, I could not adjust anything.
I think Neil's done some rough math here, and if you take if you split them in half, 1st, assuming pretty much equal uses each month. And then you discount 75% of the first month, which is the 50% that you would typically have done, even though per policy that didn't happen in this case. But if we gave her the benefit of the doubt, and then the further 25%, that leaves you $90. And if you add that back to the 365 or is it 385, you come up with 475, down from the 770, which is about a $300 adjustment. I think that's significant. And I think we would all be more receptive if it had been a single month. But
Yeah.
carrying over into a couple of months, people have a responsibility to be diligent, especially when they get notified. And I mean, I agree with Doug, and I don't know why she wasn't able to be here tonight, but had she been able to be here, maybe offered some other extenuating circumstances, we might feel a little differently. Chrissy, do you have anything you want to add, or any other questions for clarification?
No, I just was wondering about, and I think you already answered that, in the instances before, you were able to adjust the consumer's bills?
Yes.
Because it was a little bit different situation.
It was a different situation in that they were able to provide me with plumber's receipts showing what the issue was that had been repaired. That there was a leak, or there was a pipe burst, or something that was able to be repaired, not that a plumber had come out, checked the service line, and there was no issue to be found.
My feeling is that if we adjust anything, it'd be on the 1 month that she would know. It feels like she had a little bit, was out of her control if she had a landlord she was working with, but neither one of them are here to speak to it, so.
So I think we have a $475 adjustment, adjusting the bill from 770 down to 475 is what's being contemplated. Do you want to make that in a motion, Lynn?
Mayor, I make a motion to adjust it to 475 for the both months.
Okay. And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Please poll.
Johnson?
Aye.
Weston?
Aye.
McLean?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye. Item number 18, request for water and sewer bill adjustment at 1833 B Street Northeast. Ms. Johnny Freeze and Amber Pruitt, and I believe Ms. Freeze is here.
Yes, sir.
I think that's a good plan.
I'm,
Amber or Ms. Freeze, either one can start out.
okay.
You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Would you just adjust the mic down, please? Thank you.
I am the property owner at 1833 B Northeast. September 17th, I learned that I had a tremendous water leak. When I received the subsequent billing, I realized how tremendous that water leak was. The property repairs have been made. I have provided documentation to Ms. Pruitt. She has made some adjustments, but even with the adjustments, the new balance of the bill would be $2,210.09. It was a tremendous leak. I am requesting some further assistance with that. It would be a hardship for me to pay that amount. There are some further repairs needed to the home itself. You know, the floors are definitely needing repair. From what I can gather, the water, I didn't use the water, first of all, and the water didn't go through the sewer. It apparently was under the house. So what I'm asking for is also, I had, when I noticed that the bill, I came in and spoke with the staff at the utility office, and they were very kind and very patient with me as well, walking me through this, and I thank them very much. They explained to me that I could be presented on this board agenda. At that time, there was not the time to get me on it for that 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, and that's why I'm on this tonight. So I'm asking for, first of all, for the council to please waive the total amount of the sewer, because it didn't go through the sewer, and to waive any penalties. There's like a $335.09 in penalties, and then the taxes, subsequent taxes. and to lower as much as possible, please, on the actual water bill.
Mrs. Freeze, I'm sorry, you might have said it, when did you have it repaired? You remember the date?
Yes, it was, I think it was September the,
October 16th.
yes, the first initial, it was September the 17th, that night when I found it. And then we went back and continued to, so we could present them with the actual repair bill. That we went in the October the 16th and made sure that everything was totally fine and could present an actual repair bill to the city.
Amber, I'm sorry. Do we provide a service where you know that there's a leak and you can see it in the yard and the city of Miami coming out will shut the water off so they don't incur additional costs?
Well, essentially anything from that water meter on into the home
It's the
is going to
homeowner's
be
responsibility.
the homeowner's responsibility. What we can do is come up to that water meter and see, is there any water going through that meter? If there is, do you have all of your faucets turned off? Do you have all of your washers stopped? Is everything turned off in the home? And if that meter is still spinning, if there's water still going through, then we would suggest that there probably is a leak because there is still water going through that meter. Now, we can turn them off per request. I mean, that's not an issue. Of course, they just wouldn't have any water in the home
I
at
understand.
that point in time. Now, in this case, it is an empty home.
It's rental property.
It is a rental property that's an empty home. There was actually 367,000 gallons that had been used in a month's time. So it was a substantial leak. We were able to adjust off the account $1,841.84.
Can you tell me how much was sewer and how much was water for that place?
Of the adjustment, I don't have the total amounts. Aha, someone's more prepared than I am. Okay, so of the water was $1,792.32, and the sewer was $1,510.60.
And so those two together are about 30.
Actually, and I apologize, there was run into the other month, into the second month as well. The water on the second month was $165.24. And then the sewer in the second month was $154.70.
And so you took those two together, added all that together, and took half of that?
Half of that,
Is what you
yes.
did? And so
Now-
it looks like that was about 3,600, and you came up with 1,800. Is that correct?
The total was, $3,622.86. Now, our water price is tiered, so,
So she got a discount.
not a discount, but I was able to adjust a little bit more on the water than half if you look at it by just the numbers. So what we were able to adjust was $1,841.81. So the remaining balance of the excess is $1,763.90. Now, Mrs. Free's average bill, again, the house is empty, so she does not have water usage. It is just the monthly minimum. The monthly minimum is $8.65.
Mrs.
So-
Freeze, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, this was one of those that we didn't notice it on the bill, or is that how this came up? I mean, you're talking about the process where you're looking for these outliers.
I found the water leak.
Yes,
So prior to
sometimes I
getting the
miss
bill, she
them.
found it.
Sometimes I miss them when I do my billing.
That's
Yeah.
okay. I'm just-
So this one did get by us a little bit, but yeah, as soon as we noticed it, we did send a technician back out to read it. It did show a leak, and I believe we turned the water off for you, or did you have a plumber turn the water off? Yeah.
And how confident are we that none of this went down the sewer?
It's all under the house. I'm very confident it's under the house.
Neil, I interrupted you.
Mrs. Freeze mentioned $335 in penalty. Is that included in that?
No, that is not included.
That's separate?
That's separate, because per policy, the policy is just to adjust the water and sewer. It's not to adjust any penalties. But yes, the penalty, which is acquired from this, having to wait and put it on the agenda, is $335.09.
So that's a late fee or something as a result of waiting for this meeting
Yes.
date? Well, I'm just gonna say some things, and I'm not necessarily stating how I feel about it right now, but I'm just gonna, based on our policies. If we believe that none of it went down the sewer, and we think it's appropriate to give Ms. Freeze full credit for that, from the $3,622 bill, that would be $1,510, which would leave $2,110. And does this also has the $300 in it? Your total number?
No, the total number does
Okay.
not have that penalty in it.
And then if Amber adjusted that number by half, the water number I'm talking about, that gets you down to about $1,050. And then what we have done so far in the cases that we've adjudicated is we've adjusted it by another half, which would get you, and these are round numbers, somewhere in the $525 range. So I'm not necessarily arguing for that, I'm just kind of walking through the logic of what we've done up to now, and if we think that waiving all of the sewer makes sense.
I think it does. If it didn't go down the sewer, yeah. We didn't treat it, so.
Seems to me that if it didn't go down the sewer, we should waive that, and then also the penalty that she's incurred waiting
For this meeting.
for this
yeah.
meeting, definitely. And then the precedence that's been set so far on the other cases should fall in line with this.
How do, Jeff, this may be a question for you, I'm not sure, or Amber. How do we always have a one-time, is it on the property or is it on the tenant? A one-time adjustment?
It is actually one time per location.
And for your information, Christie, when this policy was put into effect, to make people to be responsible, everybody has a problem once, we accept that. If it happens again, if she has a $4,000 bill next month, she won't be back here. I mean, she could be back here, but it won't matter.
Yeah.
According to policy, so. I calculated the numbers a couple of different ways. I came up with 475 to 525, Amber, and it could have been because I was rounding, it could have been a variety of things, but if we instructed you to, and I don't know there's a consensus for this yet, but I'm just articulating what I'm hearing. If we instructed you to waive the penalty, waive the sewer, and then reduce the water by 75%, which would be the 50% that you do by policy, and the 25% or 50% of the remaining balance that we have sort of been doing, you'd end up with a final number that would be the bill. Does that math make sense? I mean, that
Yes.
process?
Yes, I don't know the exact number right now.
Right, but it's somewhere probably it's within $25 of 500, give or take, I think.
Yes.
Is everybody in agreement with that?
I am.
As a process?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to make the motion that on Ms. Freeze, on this location, that we waive the penalty, we waive the sewer, and we reduce the water by 75%. And that's the cumulative for both months. I think that's where I'm getting my $50 variances, because my first one didn't include both months. So that's my motion.
And I'll second.
Please poll.
Johnson,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all very, very much. I appreciate it.
And thank you for coming so prepared, Ms. Freeze. Thank you for being so prepared. It makes it a lot easier for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 19, other new business, if any, which has arisen since the posting of the agenda and could not have been anticipated. Any new business?
No new business, Mr. Chairman.
Item number 20, trustee community announcements. Any announcements?
Have none, Mayor.
Item 21, staff reports. Your written reports are included in the packet. Staff is present for questions if you have any questions.
Have none.
Item 22, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn, Mayor.
Second.
Please poll.
Johnson,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye. Thank you. And we are going to take a 5-minute break, and we're going to come back and reconvene the council meeting. Okay, we are back, and we are going to call to order a meeting of the Miami City Council for Tuesday, November 5th, 2013. And it was posted at 5:10 p.m. on November 4th. Second item is public input and unscheduled personal appearances and opinions. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes on agenda items only. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the council? There being none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. As we said in the SUA meeting, we're taking a little bit different approach on the consent agenda now. Staff recommends a list of items that are just ordinary course of business items. And if a council member wants to discuss a particular item, I would ask that they signify that before making a motion, and we'll pull that item out and then approve the rest of the items. So staff is recommending items 4 through 24. Are there any items that any of you would like to discuss in particular?
No.
There being none, do we have a motion, please?
Make a motion to accept.
Accept staff's recommendation for items 4 through 24.
Yes.
And a second, please.
Second.
Please poll.
Weston,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye. That takes us very quickly to item 25. Approve ordinance amendment authorizing contract for the purchase of equipment on the basis of Federal Government Services Administration schedules and authorizing the city manager to promulgate and amend the city purchasing manual. I know, as I mentioned earlier, David is out sick tonight. Mr. Bishop, or you want to talk about that? Or
Yes, sir. There's two actions here. First of all, there was a scrivener's error on the agenda. It should be ordinances
Okay.
rather than ordinance. There are two ordinances included in your packet. One basically amends our current purchasing regulations to authorize us to purchase off of GSA schedule. You saw in your packet an opinion from the city attorney that that is permissible. This gives us access to buy off of the federal government's schedule. And the other then is to amend the purchasing manual to create it as an administrative policy as opposed to a city policy, because there's so much state law that already governs purchases, and to add another layer to it and not give us the flexibility, because since I've been here we've had, I don't know, 10 to 15 instances where we needed to subtly tweak the policy to be able to accommodate a particular situation. And almost invariably it's always with one of the trusts, because we're dealing with utility matters and things are of the essence. So staff is requesting authorization tonight to approve both ordinances. And we're also requesting emergency status on both ordinances.
just for the benefit of the viewers, we already have the ability as a municipality to hitchhike on state bids, deals that they've gotten that are really good prices. And so this really just expands that authority so that we can also take the benefit, get the benefit of any federal bids and deals that have been made. And so certainly in the taxpayers' interest for us to be able to do this. That's the only comments I have. Now, you made mention of an emergency clause, and I don't see a separate one.
No, sir, it's not listed on the agenda, a separate one, but the city attorney has ruled in the past it's not necessary to denote it on the
Okay.
council. Both ordinances should have an emergency clause provision in it, but it does require two separate votes. So we're actually looking at 4 separate motions So there would be a motion to approve the ordinance authorizing the GSA inclusion into our policy, and then the second amending the policy manual to authorize the city manager. And then each of those ordinances would require a vote on emergency clause.
Okay, so first I would ask for a motion to approve the GSA inclusion in our policy manual.
Make a motion to approve, Mayor.
And a second.
Second.
Please poll.
Johnson,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye. And then the second, I would ask for an emergency clause, and Chrissy, just so you'll know, an emergency clause, if an ordinance just passes, it doesn't go into effect for 30 days. If there's a benefit to the citizens and we can invoke an emergency clause, we get the benefit sooner, and that's the purpose. So we have a motion for an emergency clause on that ordinance, please,
I'll make a motion for emergency clause, Mayor.
and a second.
I'll second.
Okay, please poll.
Johnson,
Aye.
Weston.
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye. And second, we would need a motion authorizing the city manager to promulgate and amend the city purchasing manual.
Motion to approve.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Please poll.
Weston.
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye. And an emergency clause for that ordinance. Motion, please.
Motion to
Go ahead.
motion to approve emergency clause, Mayor.
And a second.
I'll second.
Please poll.
Johnson,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Weston.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye. Thank you. And item number 26, adopt 2014 regular city council meeting schedule. For if any of you just happen to have just tuned in, when we were in the SUA meeting, we did adopt the schedule for next year. We're continuing with our meetings on Tuesday, with the exception of the election day, which, well, it's still going to be Tuesday. It's going to be a 7 p.m. meeting. But we also amended our meeting time. So the meetings will be the first and third Tuesday. We're going to move the meetings up to 5:30. And so that schedule was adopted in the SUA meeting. The city council meetings, the wording reads, or immediately following the completion of the Miami Special Utility Authority meeting. So you can probably anticipate that those meetings will be starting a little bit earlier come January. We're also considering whether we're going to broadcast those, I guess simulcast you would call it, continue to do that, or if we might delay the broadcast a little bit. We haven't really figured out what we might do on that yet, to make it easier for the viewers that do watch the meetings. But for right now, the main thing is that the notice that the proposed schedule has changed. It has changed for the SUA. So I would need a motion to adopt a change for the city council meeting also. And what did that agenda item look like?
Well, it
Does
says
just say immediately?
6:15, but no, it's got the dates and 6:15. Probably need approximately 5:45. Is that what we're looking at?
Oh, no, sir, and my apologies, Your Honor, that was a typographical error. They should all be identical to the SUA start time. And the way we recognize it on the agenda is that it's at, for this example, 5:30 p.m. or immediately following
Right.
conclusion of the MSUA. That's an older schedule. I apologize for that.
So-
That would include our workshop meeting too, so that would cover that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the dates are all the same.
Dates
and
are all
we
the
just
same.
need a language that says
5:30.
5:30 or immediately following the SUA meeting.
We denote that on the actual agenda, so the actual schedule would be 5:30.
Okay.
With the exception of November the 4th, which should be 7 p.m.
This one's got 6:15.
Okay. On November the 4th, it should be 7 p.m.
And that's because that's election day. So do we have a motion to adopt the schedule as amended with respect to the time?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
And a second, please.
Second.
Please poll.
Johnson,
Aye.
Weston.
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 27, approve mayor's nomination of appointment to Tara Elke to the Miami Parks Board. Frank, who was on the Parks Board, is now working out of town and no longer able to serve, and Tara has graciously agreed to serve on that board, and that is my nomination for your consideration.
I'll make a motion to approve your nomination.
I'll second.
Am I confusing you?
No, I'm with
Okay.
you.
Johnson,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Okay, and the mayor does not vote on those, on his own nominations, so just the council. Item number 28, other new business, if any, which has arisen since the posting of the agenda. Any new business?
Anything, Jeff?
No new business, Your Honor.
Item number 29, staff reports. Written reports are included in the packet if available, and staff is present for questions. Any questions for any members of staff?
No.
Okay. Item number 30, mayor and council community announcements and signing of approved documents. Are there any announcements? Okay. Item 31, executive session pursuant for confidential communications with the city attorney concerning a pending investigation. And we have our language up there. There we go.
Are we gonna do the first one?
Your Honor, staff would request that we not include Daryl Buckmaster versus the City of Miami because the city attorney's not present tonight, but we do have special counsel here for the other item.
Okay.
Insurance counsel for state versus Dean Payne, Ottawa County case number CM 2013-605.
Okay. Mayor, I make a motion to go into executive session authorized under Title 25 O.S. Section 307B, including a determination that a city attorney advises that the public disclosure of this attorney-client conference would seriously impair the ability of the public body to process the litigation in the public interest, to wit, State versus Dean Payne, Ottawa County case number CM-2013-605.
We have a second, please?
I'll second.
Please poll.
Johnson,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye. We are in executive session at 6:54. If you'll please clear the room. 7:35 p.m. We are on agenda item number 32. Authorize the city attorney to pursue costs and fees associated with the case of Daryl Buckmaster versus City of Miami, Ottawa County District Court, case number 2013-77. Again, David is out tonight. Mr. Bishop, would you like to address that item?
Yes, sir. Thank you. City Attorney and I have had a number of conversations about this, and we're both on the same page. It is our recommendation to the council tonight to authorize the city attorney to pursue costs and fees associated with the case of Daryl Buckmaster versus the City of Miami, Ottawa County District Court case number CJ 2013-77.
And just briefly, this is the case where Mr. Buckmaster thought we were somehow infringing on his property, and after repeated assurances that we were not, he continued to pursue the case and created some legal costs.
Correct, sir.
Okay.
And subsequently dropped the inverse condemnation suit. And it's my understanding, based on my conversations with city attorney, Oklahoma law allows for the party, the defendant, to pursue attorney fees in the event that it's dropped after it's initiated.
Do you have an estimate as to the value of that to the taxpayers?
No, sir. We did, though. However, the city attorney did put staff on notice. There were records kept about how much expenses the city incurred during this process.
Okay. So you're recommending then that we authorize the city attorney to pursue costs and fees?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Schultz,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Thank you. Item 33, authorize purchase of point of view cameras from Taser for the Miami Police Department. Mikey.
Well, I bring this before you to consider purchasing these point of view cameras. The system will allow us to have point of view cameras on every Miami PD officer. The system aids in officer safety, report writing, court cases. It records from the officer's perspective. So if they're wearing a ball cap, they can mount it to the side of their head. They're about this long. They're about the size of a small LED flashlight. They take great video. One of the officers actually has this system, and we got to view it. Video's great. It's high def. The audio's good, and it shoots from their perspective. So,
So what kind of storage device is it?
well,
using?
here that's the interesting part because the storage device is actually in the cloud.
Okay.
It's roughly about $7,400 for the first year. Okay, I say first year because we may have to go back to the cloud. But between the team and I, we think we can house it better than what in the cloud. So for the first year, we want the cloud to research and develop a storage plan for the video. Because when you're dealing with video, you're dealing with lots of information.
Right.
So the cloud is called evidence.com. It's basically has administrator user rights. So you set them up. They can log on, view their video, copy their video, can't edit. So that's basically the
So would this run just continuous in an officer's 8-hour shift, or does it get turned on, or how does it
Yeah.
work?
I wish I would have brought his system tonight to show you. It has a cable attached to the camera, runs to a square that's hidden inside. They double tap it, it comes on.
Okay.
They tap it again, it goes off.
And with the addition of this equipment, we'll also have written policy on the use of the video, so there will be standards that have to be met by the officers in using the equipment.
Okay.
The one thing that caution, well, I'll say that next after we get to the next item. So that's fine.
Okay.
How many cameras are we looking at for that?
32.
32 cameras.
And actually, we looked at other cameras, and these cameras were actually on sale it's actually sale time. So we got a good deal on them. They're regularly $900. We got them for $4.99 a piece.
So does every officer then have their own
Yes.
unit, I'm going to
Yes.
call it?
Let me take you through the officers. What they do, they'll wear the camera, each have their own individual camera.
Okay.
When they come in the end of shift, there's a docking station. They'll stick their camera in the docking station, it'll upload to the cloud. So that's how you get the automatic upload, download.
Okay.
And the possibility for user error?
Well, they got the on off.
Just, yeah.
Yeah, it's just basically,
That's all they have to do to make
Yes.
it work.
yes, because they stick it in the base and it automatically downloads it.
And the focus is probably has an autofocus lens of some sort, I'm guessing.
Yes, yeah, kind of. That kind of leads me to my next agenda item. I'll explain it better in the next
Okay.
item.
Mike, the total cost, is that 76 plus the 26?
No, that is the total cost for
Okay.
the 32
Okay.
cameras plus 1 year of evidence.com.
Okay.
The 26,470.03.
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. City Manager, do we have this in the budget somewhere? Where was this going to come from?
No, sir, we will have to do a budget amendment. We will handle that at your meeting. It'll be what we will actually do is the money is in the fund. I have the administrative authority to make the budget amendment, and I will do that. What we will be doing is we will not be transferring as much money to one of the capital projects that we had scheduled.
Okay.
This has taken priority over that. So it's not a bad impact to the budget, but it will force us to make a decision on one of the capital projects.
Some prioritizing. Okay. Any questions, any other questions for Mikey or Mr. Bishop? Okay.
Is there a certain amount of training? I mean, you just strap it on and go? I mean, that's basically it?
Well, they'll train them how to do the double tap and the loading of the dock. But, I mean, it's a pretty simple system.
Okay.
I think that
There
most-
would also be training around the policy, though.
Right.
Yes.
So the SOPs will probably be
Yes.
most of the training.
And my understanding is those are already drafted.
Yes,
And they're ready to go.
yes, they are.
Okay. Do we have a motion to authorize the purchase of point of view cameras and cloud storage?
I'll move to authorize purchase point of view camera and the cloud storage from tasers presented by staff.
Second. I'll second.
Weston,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Thank you. Item 34, authorized purchase of in-car cameras from WatchGuard for the Miami Police Department.
As we was talking about the point of view earlier, the reason why the in-car's here too is because the point of view is kind of like riding on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Because wherever they look, wherever it's
Right.
mounted, if they turn, the video's going to turn. It's going
Right.
to go back and forth. The in-car's one place, fixed point, front and back. You have one front facing, you'll have one rear facing that's facing the cage. So it gets everything behind the car and what's happening in the cage with the audio. The way this system works is the unit will pull up into the parking lot. It will automatically take the video from the unit. There's no interaction between the officer and the unit.
So it's like wireless.
Yes, it's a
Wireless
wireless
phone.
transfer.
Okay.
Is what it is. So as soon as they hit the lot, it starts downloading to the
And you're
system.
saying there's two different points of view or perspectives, there's
Yes,
front
there's
and
a
rear?
front facing and there's a rear facing. So that way we get everything in the front of the car, everything in the rear of the car. It does high definition. This does high definition on demand. So the way it works is it's recording and it's in standard. And
Right.
if they flip the lights, it switches to HD.
Okay.
If there's another trigger, like they go over 75 miles an hour, it trips the camera. If there's a crash sensor goes off, it trips the camera. But it backs up, okay? It just
Wow.
don't automatically start, it backs up a minute and then goes forward from the minute. So,
Wow.
but the hardware for this is pretty extensive. It also does GPS coordinates on the video. So whenever they hit the button, it'll GPS the coordinate of where the unit was at the time. The hardware, the server was 15 terabytes. And it also comes with, we chose this option with an automatic DVD Blu-ray writer. So it will look at a folder, and when the folder reaches the limit, it'll write a disk and dump it. So that way we can kind of contain our storage that way. So it's all contained, it's all in one system.
Chieftain, do none of our cars have cameras now?
No, sir, they do not.
Wow.
We were probably one of the, by Oklahoma standards, 90% of the sheriff's office and police departments in Oklahoma are 10 people or less. So by Oklahoma standards, with 33 officers, mine was a medium-sized police department. It's always been cost prohibitive, I believe, in the past administration. In the last couple of years since, I've been here, the budget has always been kind of an issue. We also have seen, when the first on-car video cameras came out, which would have been 91, 92, Tulsa had an officer shot one night, and right after that, they did a big push, and the community gave some money. These were actually VHS tapes that were in a Pelican case and a box strapped into the back seat, and the camera was about this large and bolted on the top. The technology, especially with WatchGuard today, with the ability to download literally into a computer, is just really exceptional. So the quality of the product of what is available today, one of them is highly better than it's probably the best it's ever been. And WatchGuard is kind of the state-of-the-art standard.
There's one thing I'd like to point out about officer safety. Dispatch will be able to pull a live feed of the camera in the car. So if they're on a hot call and they're by themselves, dispatch can pull it up, and if dispatch sees something go down, they can dispatch
Wow.
other units to
That's
to
awesome.
the call.
And how many units, Chief, do we have that are going to be equipped?
Well, I think we anticipate at one point maybe 23. Right now, we've got 10 black and whites
Okay.
that are in service. There's been some discussion, I think, the city manager's had some discussion about maybe someday going to a take-home car program.
Right.
Live inside the city. But, and then, we have the detective units. But I think we have, at this point, 10 black and whites, and then we're adding to the fleet 3 soon, so we're looking at 14, so.
And And so how many units is this for,
Yeah.
Mike?
23.
That's the
That
total
covers-
cost for 23, all 323 units?
That's our current, that would be our current count for every car in the PD, plus the new ones.
Is this a turnkey price? Am I reading that right?
Yes,
That-
yes.
That right there gets not only the training, but the installation? And
Yes.
does it come with a maintenance package?
Yeah. If something happens in the initial year, you'll rebuy. I want to say for $2,400. Don't quote me on that, but that's the license fee per year on that.
Okay.
It was really small. I was like, oh, okay.
So,
But these are these are mobile. I mean, I shouldn't say mobile, but when we upgrade a car or replace a car, the video comes out of it and goes in the new car.
Transferable.
So the 23 is our optimal number of units that we're going to have. We don't want to have a vehicle that doesn't have it, and then have that vehicle involved in something, and then have to ask, why didn't we have video in that one? So we want to go ahead and have all the system be the same, be compatible with everything else in the future, so we don't have a situation where later on we start matching different vendors with different things and having compatibility issues. So we just want to go ahead and do it all in one fell swoop.
but you are gonna buy them all at one time?
Yes,
That's what
sir,
I'm
we're gonna
trying
buy
to be
all
clear on.
23.
Not, it's not just for the 10 black and whites.
Yeah,
Okay.
there will be video in every single vehicle operated by the Miami Police Department.
Mayor, I think it's important we do this.
I think it's a safety issue, as well as all the other advantages, especially having dispatch being able to pull up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Real time.
yeah, that's really, I mean, that would certainly give me as an officer, a level of confidence that I might not have otherwise. Security, so.
This is the same system OHB runs. It's the watch guard.
And Tulsa Police Department uses this, and they've got upwards now to 600 vehicles in their fleet.
Wow.
Hey, Jeff, is this again basically gonna be a reprioritization of budget?
Yes, sir. And we'll
items?
just have to, we won't make a transfer to the capital improvement fund or for capital outlay. I don't know which we'll do yet. But basically, it's contained within the general fund. Both of these will be general fund purchases. And we would be purchasing this off of GSA, which you authorized tonight for our policy. But otherwise, equipment requires no public bidding requirements for the general fund, so.
Mike, they got a good lifespan. I mean, these cameras last for a long time or what?
It all depends on how they're taken care of. I mean, I'd say 5 to 7 on cameras. I mean, the rate of technology change, you got to take that in consideration too. So that's why I say 5 to 7. I mean, they may come out with better stuff.
But just because you replace the camera doesn't mean the supporting stuff has to be replaced either.
Right.
I mean, is it fair to say this could easily have a 10-year lifespan?
Yes, that's fair to say.
Okay. Any other questions for Mike or Chief Harrelson or the city manager? Okay, do we have a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion to authorize purchase of in-car camera system for the police department vehicles off a General Service Administration contract for watch guard as presented by staff.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Please poll.
Johnson,
Aye.
McLean,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye. Thank you. And item number 35 is adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And a second.
I'll second. Doug's quick
Please
on
poll
that.
the council.
Weston.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
McLean.
Aye.
Schultz.